And good evening and welcome to another episode of The Vegan Hour. It is Tuesday, August the 28th. This is episode 18. And tonight I'm joined by Dr Leah Coutts from the Animal Justice Party.
Hey,
welcome along.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you for having me.
Now, I'm just going to, first off, I want to mention that The Vegan Hour is sponsored by Vegan Frothers. In the background there, you can see the round circle where you can get your cruelty-free clothing from. Now, I can see lots of people coming online already. Thank you, everyone that's coming online. Now, one of the, what I might do, it's a little bit of a loose sort of beginning here because we've got food here tonight. Oh yeah, food. And I just want to, while people are coming online, I just want to show you some of the food we've got here tonight before we get into the serious part of the program. You may never have seen this before, but check this out. This is called, I'll get this on both cameras. Ah, there I am. It's called VFC, Vegan Fried Chicken. And it's pretty damn amazing. And that is from Cess Vegan Pies. I've been eating their pies, been eating their VFC, and it's all
Delicious.
good. It's all good stuff.
Delicious.
So, yes. I want to do a shout out to Cess Vegan Pies and to Sarah from Cess Vegan. Thank you very much for the VFC and for the pies. Love it. It's great stuff. So let's just find out what's coming up this week with some vegan events, and then we can get into tonight's show. And there's already people commenting there. Tiffany says, Leah.
Hey Tiffany.
Okay. This tomorrow, Elixir Bar, all three venues of Elixir Bar, pay what you feel from 12 o'clock to 8 p.m. So that's tomorrow, Wednesday, the 29th of August. Then on Thursday, coincidentally, the Animal Justice Party, I love how this ties in,
Synergy.
it's Synergy, they're having a Gold Coast members meeting from 6 p.m. at the Mermaid Community Centre. So is that open to the public?
There's at 6:30 till 7. There's a public Q&A for those who are member curious, who want to come along, hear more about the party, have any questions, and are considering being a member. And then from 7 o'clock is the members only meeting. And for those who want to join on the night, that is a possibility. So if you're curious and in the area, then please do come along.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. I love how well that tied in with tonight's show. We did not plan that. Did not plan. And also coming up this weekend on Saturday, there's a Sea Shepherd beach cleanup from 8 a.m. at Main Beach on the Gold Coast. And if you're in Brisbane, there's a Father's Day at Green Edge from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I guess that's on Father's Day, which would be on the Sunday. Yeah, I haven't put the date down, but I think that's right. Now, let's just have a look here. Judy says hello. Ali says, I had some at the start of last week. So good. And we're talking about the VFC. Yeah, it's a clever name, that VFC. And Jack says, my vegan friend brought me here to watch, I guess.
Nice.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Watch
Great.
and tell us what you think.
Yeah, definitely.
Effie says, oh, stop it, such delicious looking food.
You should smell it.
Yes, you should eat it. You can't stop it, just smelling it. Lyndon's in there with some nice hearts. And let's see. And Bee's there as well, and Kaz is there. Thank you everyone that's watching tonight. So, okay, let's get this show happening. If you missed the introduction, should I just call you Leah?
Yes, please.
Yes. It's too formal to do the whole thing.
Leah.
If you've missed the introduction, Leah is from the Animal Justice Party, and she's going to be running for the Senate.
Yes. And before we begin, most importantly, you're not looking AJP equipped enough.
I'm not. I'm looking.
I have my keep cup, my AJP
everything
keep
I've
cup.
got to vegan. Right? How can we fix this problem?
How can we fix this?
I think we need to. Oh, where did you get that from?
AJP bandana.
Now, who thinks I should wear it like this for the whole show, so that you can't see my noggin? I don't know. I don't know if I can even do anything with this, but let's see. I need comments from people. That's it. People are laughing. Okay.
Awesome. There you go.
It's sort of working. I don't know if it's really. Anyway, I'll muck around with this.
Right.
I'll muck around with this as the show goes on. I'll make it worse. Okay. Right. So let's see. Keep cup.
Awesome.
Okay, that's great. Rightio. So let's start the show off with Leah. What has been your journey that has led you to being involved with the AJP as a Senate candidate for the upcoming federal election?
Yeah, thank you. Good question. So it's not something that I ever planned for long term. It's not like I don't have a long political background at all. Okay. Politics is not something that was ever
it's fairly
a strong
recent
calling. Okay. That's right. And so in some regards, I guess, if someone had even said to me a year ago that I would be here, I'd be like, what are you talking about? So I've been vegan for...
Sorry.
It's not
Sorry.
going to work.
It's not going to work. Yeah, I'll do that. It was a good idea at the time.
So yeah, I've been vegan for around 2 years now.
Okay.
And as is normal, if you're vegan and you've had similar experiences, I'd love to hear about it. But I guess I was a bit of the cliche in that you wake up and it's a living nightmare, and you feel like you're very disillusioned. You feel like you've been lied to. You feel like, you've had this massive lens taken off and you're seeing very clearly, and you get to that point of despair and helplessness. And it's quite traumatic to go through, as most vegans will tell you. We have a similar story.
And when you become aware, you can't go back.
No, that's right.
It's a responsibility with it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
For me, I guess being active was quite a slow thing. I didn't know any other vegans. I didn't really know activism.
You didn't know any other vegans?
No.
Wow.
I read a book. I read Peter Singer's The Most That You Can Do.
Yes.
So the chapter on animal rights in that book, I watched Cowspiracy, and that was kind of like instant switch.
Overnight.
Overnight. 100% overnight.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So yeah, it took me a while to find people and to find that activism was actually a thing. And it wasn't until Joey Carbstrong had his workshop, and you had Joey on the show.
That's right.
Around the same time.
Oh yes, yeah, because he was here.
In Brisbane,
That's right.
So so I was part of the Brisbane foodie groups on Facebook and heard about the workshop and went, activism, okay. Yeah. So I went along to the workshop, and all of a sudden I was like, I have something I can do. Like, I'm not just vegan now, I can actually help spread the message. You want to share your newfound knowledge with everyone and want everybody to become vegan and be part of that journey.
I love it.
Yeah, so I became active with Cubes and outreach.
Yes. You were doing the Cubes in Brisbane, I assume?
In Brisbane, yes. I've come down the Gold Coast and done a couple down here.
Excellent.
I had been volunteering and still do at Farm Animal Rescue. So I had that connection with the animals on the other side, which is really wonderful. And I enjoy outreach. I think it's really important. Education and outreach and activism are extremely important. You do have that responsibility to do what you can. It may be posting delicious food. It may be sharing things online.
It may be eating delicious food.
Or it could be being involved in Cubes, in marches, in rallies, outreach, and all of those things. That's been a significant part of my journey. But I do have to say that individual conversations, they're amazing. But for me personally, there was this unsettling feeling that it wasn't enough and that I have something else to do. And I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
And I'm still active in social activism. So grassroots activism is extremely important.
Yes. Yeah.
But I just had this feeling like I'm still finding my place. And so I learned about the Animal Justice Party during the elections, the state elections last year. And I thought to myself, if I go to an AJP meeting, maybe I'll find out what I can bring back to help my activism. So I was not politically inclined.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I don't know, is anybody, who else here is a member of the Animal? Are you a member of the Animal Justice
I'm a member of the
Party?
AJP, yes. Have been for year or two, I'm not sure now.
Yeah. Fabulous. Is anybody else?
Who else is a member? Let's see some thumbs up or some comments there, because there's a few comments there that I skipped over earlier, but they were just they were sort of light-hearted comments. So now we want some feedback, guys. We actually want to find. Yes, okay. There's thumbs up.
Yes.
And so good. We're getting some response here. Great.
Yeah. So yes, I did go along to the first meeting. As I became a member because I wanted to go to the meeting, and it was literally just to understand what else was going on and what I could take back to
the comments are coming up now.
Excellent. Yeah, Christine, Helen,
yes,
Kat, fabulous.
Helen, yes.
Fabulous.
Excellent.
And definitely me.
That is quite impressive how you do that. You're everywhere at once.
That's right. But then as soon as I entered that, so this was the Brisbane meeting, as soon as I entered the room, it sounds a little bit strange, but I just felt like I was home.
Oh, wow.
So meeting like-minded people with shared values, but in a place where I felt like what I had to contribute, I had something to do in this space.
Isn't that is so empowering when personally empowering, but also when you're saving lives.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So outreach is amazing, but to then be able to go, I have something else to do. And so as a member, I became involved in volunteering and in the meetings, but then also because I do have a background in research, I became involved in the working groups and the policy working groups. So I'm involved at state level and national level.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And in crafting the fact sheets and being involved in policy discussions, that's impressive. Which is it's fabulous.
Yes.
And so,
yes, it is.
And can I just say that if it wasn't for how strongly I feel about animal rights, politics would never enter the picture. It's only because there's a reason now. There's a reason for this to become a political purpose, if you like.
Yeah. I've got to say, I'm very, very inspired by your passion.
Oh, thank you.
That's what obviously we need is people that are dedicated for all the right reasons to help the animals. That is absolutely fantastic. So we're just having some audio problems here in the background. So for those who haven't heard of the AJP, can you give us an overview of what you stand for?
Yeah, of course. So the Animal Justice Party is the only political party in Australia that has animal rights and interests at the forefront of their policies, as well as the interests of the environment and humans. So it's really important to acknowledge the symbiotic relationship between animals, the environment, and us as a species, and we're animals too, don't forget. And it's a kind of a convenient thing to kind of just pretend that that's not even
but that's right. Yes, we might be supposedly slightly more advanced, but that's debatable, isn't it?
Yes.
The way we treat the other animals disproves that a lot of the time, sadly.
So one of the things that is a point of difference with us is we really want to remove the property status of animals. Animals are not here on this planet for us to exploit. And the political system, industries, the systems and the cultures and the social structures that are at play, which are all held together by law and legislation that says it is okay to treat animals like property and things and commodities. We're the only party that says, you know what, that's not okay. We actually, that moral compass that I suppose guides our policies and what we're about and our vision is really about unpacking and pulling apart each of those threads that are holding that together. And
I just want to say also, while we're talking about these different things in relation to the policies and all that, if anyone's got any questions, please put them up and I'll either address them or get to them at some point, because the whole thing about the Vegan Hour is giving our guests an opportunity to be asked questions, to be interviewed, not just by me. So, and tonight, we want to find out how the AJP is going to achieve these goals. So
actually,
if you've got questions, please ask.
I have a question for everybody and yourself as well, but just to share a bit more about AJP. So the other thing is, as we've seen just in the last week or so in terms of politics, there is so much about a popularity contest and doing things that are going to elevate the status of the few, right? And so that is certainly not what AJP is about. And we're the only party that actually has a philosophy that guides our actions and guides our policies and guides where we would stand on things. Okay. So if I mention the 4 principles that guide us, I'm really interested to know which ones resonate the most strongly, and do they resonate? And do they resonate? So, thank you. Linda's
put up the policy list.
The list, thank you.
Yes. Which I can't see, because if I click on it, it'll take me away from this live stream, which wouldn't work well. But so
4 key principles.
Okay.
The first one is kindness.
You can't get much better than that, can you? I love it.
Like, does anybody think, I know I'm not a kind person, why would, but by kindness, it also is challenging the status quo of extending that beyond those who would normally be within our sphere. It's not being kind to those who are like you, or who have the same privilege or the same lens or the same culture or even the same skin.
So dare we say it's unconditional kindness?
Unconditional kindness, I like that. I like that. And it's actually about having the interests of others who may not be able to stand up for themselves and doing what is right by others when it doesn't necessarily give you anything in return.
I was thinking about that today, that very point, that's what makes the AJP so different to any other party, is standing up for not vested interest, basically. You know, it's standing up for the voice for the voiceless, and it's so different to the way that, you know, that we see with so many other parties doing things for their mates, sort of thing.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
And that, just that fact alone, when I was thinking about today, I thought, wow, that really elevates it on such a higher level. You know, so so BB says kindness is a core value all humans should have. Of course,
that's right.
It is right at the very core. Well said, BB. And kind to all kinds, Kat says. Nice. That's great. I'm putting that on my page. That's good.
That's right.
So okay, we've got some agreement there that kindness is definitely number one.
Good.
Yeah.
Number two is equality.
Ah, yes, of course. Yes.
Now, equality is also making sure that people, other animals, non-human animals, everybody, they have a right to the interest for themselves. It's not about all having the same rights. It's about acknowledging the differences, but allowing them to be with those differences.
I'm glad you actually clarified that, because it's a mistake that's been made for generations. And I think maybe we're starting to learn from that mistake, that equality is not about actually everyone trying to do the same thing.
That's right.
And you explain. Can you say it again? Because you explained it really well, but I can't find the words to explain it. It's about
acknowledging
the differences. Yes.
But that within those differences, everyone, being like regardless of species here, has the right to live their own differences.
Yes.
So basically, we're not about exploitation.
Yes.
You know, so it's about letting be. You know. Letting be. Yes. So that's equality.
Every now and then, I'm just going to bring this up because all attempts to wear it have failed. If only we had like a mannequin or a male model that could walk past in the background wearing it or something like that. Okay, so that's number two.
Yes.
What did people actually? I want to get feedback on that. What did you guys think about equality? Can we get some thumbs ups or some?
And even the way that I've just defined
the way that you've defined it, which is spot on. I think it's really spot on. We've got one little one go up there. Okay, well, somebody was still awake. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on.
Yes.
So number three.
Number three, non-violence.
Ah, yes.
Now, this is massive.
Yes.
This is, I mean, all of these are core principles of veganism
They are, yes.
As well. And non-violence is about, so it's about peacefully advocating for change. So it's not about being passive. It's not about accepting and saying, oh, we can't control things, because no, this is about empowering people to step up and to say that in a non-violent way, we can model behaviours that we hold true while also advocating for change in a non-violent manner.
Well said. I can't add to that because that encompasses everything. That is really, really awesome. Christine says, we've got some comments on equality there. Christine says, equality is so important and is at the heart of so many social justice movements of the past and present. Spot on, it is, that's right. And BB says, we also need equality in politics.
Yes, definitely.
I think they should scrap Australian politics and start again. If anything in the last week or two was shown, oh my God. Anyway. Yes.
Now, the fourth one,
number four,
I have to say is my favourite.
Yes.
And I'll explain why. So the fourth one is rationality.
Ah, I like it.
So by rationality, obviously being able to set aside your emotions, to set aside the cultural play or all those things that you bring to the table, and to actually look rationally at the facts, at the evidence, to be able to view things from other sides and use empathy as well, comes into what facts you actually consider.
That's great.
You know? So it's about bringing facts so you can make the best and most logical decision. But that's not why it's my favourite. My favorite. This is so exciting. Sorry, I'm a bit of a nerd, but this does excite me.
No, nerd away because we need more nerds like you. You're not a nerd at all. Go on.
Okay, so when you look at kindness and equality and non-violence, people can say, "Oh, yes, that's all well and good, but that doesn't get you too far, right?" If you're not thinking rationally.
Right.
What I love is that the science and the evidence for protecting the planet, stopping extinction. Banning live export, having a strong economy, being healthy as humans and not exploiting others, climate change, all of these things, which kindness and equality and non-violence underpins, is supported by science. So we're not saying you have to sacrifice. Yes. We're actually saying, you know what, this is all so interconnected, but so supported by evidence and rationality, as well as driven by the heart.
Don't you love it when the two converge, right? So we know in our heart what's the right thing to do. And when science backs it up, and you can go, hey, we're on the right page here.
That's right. And then you form policies around that, and you have the AJP.
Woohoo! I'm loving it. This may be the best episode I've ever done on it. It's great. There's a comment from Judy there saying, loving these 4 principles, I believe it comes down to educating the general public of these. How does the AJP spread this message? Thank you for your question.
Yeah, really good question.
Yes. So how does was that one of mine? How does the AJP spread this message?
Yeah, very good question. So the first thing to note is that we're quite a young party, so about 7 or 8 years old. So in that regard, we're building momentum. And since my involvement, which has literally been the end of last year, this has been building quite substantially. So as people are becoming more aware of the issues around animal rights, and as people are becoming more aware about climate change and things and becoming more disillusioned with politics, then, you know, people are starting to do more of their own research. That's just one aspect. But at the same time, we're here, we show up at events, we do markets, we have a presence online. We are, in Queensland especially, we are activists. So we are there, grassroots, speaking to people, understanding what resonates with them. Especially like on the Gold Coast, I was down at the Logan Eco Festival a couple of months ago. And the land clearing that's happening at the moment really speaks, it pulls people's heartstrings. So when you connect with something that resonates with someone, then you can broaden the education to what about the other issues, you know? So you really have to understand everybody has their own ins.
Yes, that's right.
But as a party with the Animal Justice Party, it's about exposure. So at the moment, you will see us popping up at more and more events. I mean...
And it's good because, yes, you do pop up at quite a few events.
Yes.
I've noticed that. I'm just thinking about that land clearing sort of thing. I wonder if it's too far a jump for some people to sort of, you know, like connect the dots with that, you know, but at least you're getting them on side.
That's right. And at the same time, if they are against land clearing and you have those conversations and we have policies and principles that align with their heart, that's enough. It's enough to become a member and to volunteer with us and certainly to vote for us. You know, like, like it doesn't matter. You don't have to be, I'm a walking AJP encyclopedia in order to be on board at all. If those principles resonate, that's enough. But yeah, so to come back to your question, Judy, thank you. It's about presence. It's about activism, it's about connection and being present. And one thing that if this speaks to you, one thing that we really need and that you can do is share our pages with your communities. Talk about us. The election's coming up. Ask, have you heard of the Animal Justice Party? They've got my vote. And why? So we need people to help us in order for us to help the animals and the environment and humans all alike. So it's kind of this big
it's the people power thing.
Yeah, 100%.
And actually the tonight you can link directly to Leah's page from the title of this live stream, but don't do it while you're watching because you'll miss all the good bits. So like me eating pies or something like that. No, so your party takes an abolitionist stance?
Yes, we definitely do. So here in Queensland, I can speak about because I know everybody, we are all vegan. So that's 100%, we walk the walk, we live the principles, and at the heart, we are 100% vegan.
Excellent.
The vision of the party is 100% abolitionist. We want to see an end to animal exploitation.
Great.
The one thing we have to do is make sure that we're not naive in how hard won these battles are going to be. And also to understand, let's just think about what we're against here.
Yeah.
We have food.
Yeah.
Clothing.
Yeah.
Materials.
Yes.
Entertainment.
Yes.
Animal testing.
Yes.
Land clearing.
Yes.
Population issues, human population issues, pollution issues, environmental degradation issues, climate change. All of these things each have their own systems with support from the government.
Yes.
Industries. They have culture, tradition, politics, money, and power that each holds those into little knots that are so intertwined and so embedded.
And there's a history too, isn't there? I mean, it's not a recent thing.
100%.
This is going back for
100%.
Quite decades or.
Now that sounds really awful, right? So bear with me. Now, having an abolitionist stance means acknowledging, as much as we want a vegan world tomorrow, it's not going to happen like that, because we would be there if it was. If activism, grassroots activism was enough, if changing industry supply and demand was enough, it would be happening quicker. But what's happening is, as long as there's legislation there, they'll keep finding new ways to exploit animals. So the goal of the Animal Justice Party, we have policies about all of these areas, okay, that shows our stance and our solutions and the way forward with each of these issues, but they have to be tackled individually, which is why you will see us gunning hard for banning live export, because it's topical, it has some support building, and the majority of Australians are already against it. So it's about doing what we can first, low-hanging fruit, if you will, because then that sets precedent that allows for change as we move
Gets the foot
forward.
in the door.
Yeah, but 100% abolitionist.
Yes. In fact, the export, talking about I was reading about the alpacas now being exported to Turkey?
Yes, so...
It's just like, they're coming up with another way of exploiting animals.
So for those who may not have seen that, of course, the sheep live export is due to start again, very soon, no doubt.
Actually, fill me in on that one, because you say it's due to start again, but it's starting again with the exception of that Emmanuel Exports, whatever the company was.
That's right. And I mean, if you cancel one license and then it's almost like, we've done what the public wanted, then let's tuck that behind. Let's go on with business as usual. Now, the thing is, as well, is for those who are against sheep export, live sheep export, that is such a speciesist thing as well.
Yes.
And so we have to be aware that cows are no different to sheep. The Northern Territory at the moment is looking into donkeys, ponies, camels. We've got New South Wales looking at alpacas to Turkey. So the thing we want is a federal legislation saying banning live export, period. Because then at the state level, they're not going to be putting money, like this is money going into research and development of cruelty, of industries full of cruelty and against those animals' will.
Yeah, that's right.
To try and make up a little bit of economy that isn't sustainable.
See, one of the things I love about what the AJP wants to do, from my understanding, is shift it from that to plant-based exports.
100%.
Yeah,
we already have such a strong plant-based export economy, and there's so much happening in this space that just needs that little bit of research and development and growth. Re-education. And the amount of money that the federal government puts into supporting animal industries that we know is not sustainable, causes climate change, environmental degradation, is responsible for species extinction, all of these things.
Is the government really helping us by doing that? Of course not. We know that.
Because they're helping themselves.
They're helping themselves. This is,
So it's bigger picture thinking, because that doesn't mean, we just need to do what is immediate and easy and popular now. This is, we need to look a little bit larger and deeper and go, if we are to build a sustainable plant-based economy, what new laws and legislation do we need? How do we rechannel funding? And this is what our policies say. We need to redirect funding to support the development of new industries that can not only replace the current economy, but let's face it, there's so much more room for growth.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there is. You know, maybe if we'd been having this discussion a year ago, I would have been less. Well, let's chat. I'll turn this around here. Start again, Harry. The way that things are changing for the better overall in people's awareness towards what veganism means is making the work of the AJP more achievable now, isn't it? Do you find that?
Yeah, that is very true, because at the end of the day, for what we want to do, we need members and we need volunteers and we need supporters. Yeah. And come the election, we need voters,
and,
right?
You know, when you talk about all the structure that's been in place for such a long time that's got to be changed, that's such a huge battle to fight.
It is.
But I see if we'd had this conversation a year ago, I would have seen it being a lot harder then than it is now, simply because the change that's occurred, especially in the last few years, in people's awareness, waking up in a general, the general population sort of waking up.
That's right, and the grassroots activism has been a large part of that as well. So this is where we need everything. Yes. Yes. So political activism, which is what I see myself as a political activist. I see AJP as a political activist platform. Yep. So this is basically just another level of advocating for change and doing what is right, and saying that no, these oppressive systems that abuse the rights of others is not good enough. So that's activism. So the grassroots, the education, the political sphere, we need everything, because we need educated people and aware people, like what you said. And it is growing, and the movement is growing as well.
And as you were saying, at the grassroots level, you started off you were doing work with Cubes of Truth.
Yes,
you know,
and still do,
and that's fantastic for getting the person on the street who's never been aware of this, you know, getting there at that grassroots level and you know, waking them up a little bit. And then that's a little step in their journey towards, you know, wanting the changes that the AJP wants to have happen. So I just want to, Tiffany said, I have so much respect for everything you do, Leah. You're changing and saving lives. It's a beautiful comment. Thank you, Tiffany.
And you are too. I've said, Tiffany goes to lots of events. And
awesome. Sorry it took us 10 minutes to get your comment, but Ali says, very rational, yes. And Christine says, yes, live export must end. Ali says, really well explained, makes so much sense. Great comments there, really liking the feedback there, guys. So, I wanted to ask you who you run in with.
Yes.
In Queensland.
Yeah, so Queensland AJP for the federal election coming up. So in the Senate, there's 3 candidates. But first of all, I do also want to acknowledge that Queensland has the most amazing team, just in general. Like the conveners, we've got Rick and Lyndon, amazing
fantastic people.
Shout
out to Rick wherever you are. Rick, a big shout out to you, mate.
And Lyndon as well.
and Lyndon, I hope you're watching as well.
The committee that we have, as well as now the campaign managers that we have, and all the members who are there is strength in strong friendships with core values who are willing to we're all volunteers as well. So to come together, I just have to say that without that platform, I wouldn't be sitting here. So I think it's really
everyone I've met from the AJP is dedicated, you know, devoted, and are just beautiful people. So I second that. AJP members and volunteers and everyone, you rock. So you're running with 2 others. So we have three strong female candidates. So we have Karamay Kelly. So who some people here might know. She ran in the state election. That's right. In which division was
same seat as Jackie Trad. And she actually took Jackie Trad on with some forums around the land clearing. And at the same time, AJP developed their land clearing policy, and she really held her accountable, which was amazing to see. You know, it's really important. Our job is to hold others accountable and to say when something is not good enough, and to push. You know, because they will do minimum they'll do like to make people happy, but we want more. We're not afraid to stand up and push for that. So Karamay did that really well, but she's got a background in investigations with the RSPCA, and she's worked for the federal government. So and she runs doggy daycare. Plug for you, Karamay. Doggy daycare in West End as well. So she's a small business owner as well.
There's just before
South Brisbane. Thank you, Lyndon.
Yes, and Mike has just put a really nice comment in there. I've never voted before in my life, but you have my vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Wow.
That there is really that's really powerful. Like right there, that is you stepping up to say, you know what, I'm ready to be active and use my vote where it actually can mean something. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
And
that's really exciting.
You know, it just takes each person to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
And that's where change comes. You know, it comes from each individual person making the change.
That's right.
Collectively, it adds up.
Right. So then we have Belinda.
And Belinda
Hardy. Belinda Hardy.
Yes.
So Belinda has an extensive corporate background in private and public and not-for-profit in the IT sector, in technology. And so I should also say that Karamay is really passionate about the links between domestic violence and animal cruelty. Right. And this is something that became really apparent to her through her work with AJP. Yeah. And as well as, of course, banning live export and land clearing and all those things. Yeah. So Belinda is really passionate about the environment and connections with animal agriculture, and AJP is the only party that actually acknowledges animal agriculture is connected to climate change. It's the #1
It's the only party that acknowledges it.
Mention it to others and you watch them run.
Yes, and pull statistics out of their hat that have no relevance to reality.
And also the connection. So Belinda's also very passionate about health and the connection between plant-based eating and health. And the Animal Justice Party really wants a preventative healthcare system as much as helping those who are already sick. Look at the budget that goes into healthcare. If you actually empower people to look after themselves and make choices that are kind and non-violent.
What if we just took the taxes that they get from cigarettes or something like that, you know, and redirected them, you know? I mean, But that's a great team. Yeah. Because expertise in different areas.
That's
like
right.
That, really, I love it.
Yeah, that's right. And
that's really good.
Yeah, and sorry.
So Danny's got a comment there. Leah, what is a good response to people who say, yes, the AJP is great for the animals, but what do they know about politics? Good question.
What do we know about politics?
How much time have you got?
That's a good question. I would say that we certainly have a lot of expertise within our team. Queensland and nationally, like you have to understand, we are a national party with national working groups in different policy areas. We have people, I mean, yes, I'm an activist and new to politics. Queensland is full of activists who have a background in politics and animal law and, you know, so we do have strengths within the group, and especially when you look at politics, it doesn't take an expert to know the systems aren't working.
Well, I think Ali's summed it up with what you're saying there by saying, with the state of politics at the moment, the politicians don't know what they're doing anyway. So exactly. I mean, So
I mean, yes. Well, I mean, I will acknowledge I'm learning along the way. Yeah. But I also think that it's important to acknowledge everyone should be learning along the way, and also saying what could be if I didn't just have my politics lens on that's going to get me votes and make sure I do what's popular. I
think that's the difference, isn't it? Because it's the intention of the politician.
That's
right. So if the intention is to, you know, just to get into power and just to look after his mates and all the rest, versus the intention of doing what is the right thing for the animals and changing the laws so that can be done, that's just worlds apart, isn't it? You know,
that's right.
Yeah. Yep, and there's a comment from Lyndon there says, ask Leah about her work on the parliamentary submission for the land clearing bill.
Thank you, Lyndon.
I don't have to ask it because I just asked it.
Yes, so last year during the state election, so Karamay held Jackie Trad accountable, and Labor did say that if we get elected, we'll be looking at the land clearing and we'll put a bill up to strengthen land clearing laws. And so they did that and called for submissions. And so I co-authored AJP Queensland submission along with Belinda. So we co-authored it looking at where it is, where the research is on land clearing and the environmental impacts, the impacts on wildlife, on the environment, on everything. Yeah. And then actually going, well, if this is their bill that they've put up, where does this fall short? And if you're still exempting farmers from any land clearing, how is this actually tightening land clearing laws? Yeah. So yes, using rationality, and I personally have a background in academia and research, so I have all of those skills that I bring to the table. Yes, and so we are all very heavily involved in policy and very heavily involved in continuing to upskill, question, and make sure that we are putting forward the principles that we have and the philosophies and the vision that we have, backed, as I said, by science and rationality, good critical thinking and research skills to push forward what's best for the country, including everyone and everything that inhabits the country, not just human interests and small gains for the few.
That's fantastic. Wow. I tell you what, if any of the other politicians had half the brains that you guys have, they might get somewhere. I can say that because, I can say that, I don't have to be politically correct. It's a vegan hour. I can say anything I want. Anyway, Mandy says, awesome presentation, Leah. And Ali says, I like that the AJP Queensland candidates are not career politicians. Yes. Very refreshing and more trustworthy. Yes. It is. And it does tie in with the point I was trying to make earlier, but you've been able to say it way better. Thank you. I don't even understand what Kate's thing is. UPK. No idea. Okay. So, is the fact that the three of you are female, is that important? Does that?
So, I wish it wasn't.
Right.
I wish it wasn't. I wish. My gender did not play a role, but I wish that gender, full stop, did not play a role in society. So, coming back to equality, and I will attach this to speciesism and otherness in relation to animals. Anything to do with ism, whether that's speciesism, sexism, racism, classism, ageism, what have I missed? Like the list goes on. We have a patriarchal system that is might over right. Yes. And that places privilege and power of the few against the others that can be oppressed in some way. Now, I would like to think that we don't live in that world anymore, and that females have equality with males, but unfortunately you don't have to go very far. I've battled with this, and I've spoken to people, and I'm baffled by just pay divide is still a thing.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking just then. I was going to mention it. Yeah, I know.
It just baffles me how
where is the equality? Yes,
that's right, and the bullying around gender. And unfortunately, I have to say that this is still rife even within the vegan community. Yes, and that just because we've taken off the lens of speciesism and we now recognise that other species have rights to their life free from exploitation and harm. It's not a given that we extend that right even to fellow humans who are a different gender to us. So unfortunately, yes, it is important. We have 3 female, strong, independent, may I say, and still remain humble, powerful women. Definitely. And I think that sends a strong message that, again, Animal Justice Party walks its walk. Walks the talk.
Walks the talk. Walks the talk. Yep. That's it.
And so, but I do want to also touch on one thing, and I'd love this to just be a point for people to reflect on, as we're talking about education and empowering people through awareness. So, how many times do you catch yourself in a day or a week going to say things like "kill 2 birds with 1 stone," chomping at the bit? Take the bull by the horn, by the bull, bull by the horn, whatever.
Take the bull by the horn,
So, Colleen Patrick Goodrow in the States has a whole podcast called Animology, where she unpacks how language has normalized exploitation to animals.
I must watch that.
Just through the language that we use every day without thinking about it. And my point here is the harmless sexist joke. the harmless divide or using gender to disempower people just because it's a cultural norm. I didn't mean anything by that. It was harmless. Why is that an issue?
Yeah.
And then you see the Me Too movement, and you see people going, "Oh yeah, but that's not you." Now everyone's jumping on it. You can't take it. You can't. So I'm just. I guess the takeaway is language is powerful.
Yes.
And creates cultural norms.
It's not only powerful, but language is a reflection of where the person is at.
Yeah.
Right? So where they're coming from. So that language, that dictates what they say.
Yeah.
So you will know by their language where they're coming from.
That's right.
So
and some of it may be harmless, but as soon as you're aware, like next time you go to use a metaphor involving an animal.
Yeah. Well, I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because it was only in the last couple of weeks it actually occurred to me, because I think I went to use one of those metaphors and went, hang on a second, and I actually started going, what other ones do I know?
Yeah.
And I started going through and thinking, geez, there's a few.
Does anybody else do that, like catch yourself and then go, and have you thought of alternatives? I know, cut 2 carrots with 1 knife.
I'm gonna segue to a pie. Look, have 2 pieces of pie instead of 1 because you cut it in half in one mouthful. Yeah, I still got pie going cold here, but thanks to Seth's Vegan Pies, that was my second shout out for tonight.
So sorry, just to finish that question. I do think it's a shame that it shows a strong message that the 3 of us are female, but I'm certainly going to celebrate it because I think it does empower others, and it should empower others even if there's other oppressions, like this could be an empowering message for males or people who don't associate with the gender, just by going, here is a cultural norm that these people are breaking because they believe in a cause that is bigger than any oppression. And that's what it's about. This cause is bigger than any oppression that we may think, oh no, I can't because of.
This cause is about the future of
the planet.
The planet. I was going to say humanity, but it's bigger than that. It's the future of the planet. It's everything on the planet. So this is the biggest cause. Yeah. And I also, just on a personal level, I have found in my life's journey at the grand old age of almost 54 that usually, and generally speaking, that the most intelligent, most powerful individuals I've come across have usually been women. And this is interesting because, and I'm a very strong defender of the fact that women often have it harder than men, but are actually more courageous, usually a lot more intelligent, more compassionate, of course, and unfortunately, as a man, I see way too many examples of men that are just cowardly in their actions, and that language that we're talking about is a reflection of that sort of a subtle put down, or whatever you want to call it.
Do you know as well, that is also because culture tells men you must be powerful, you must be dominant, you must be this, and if you don't fit into the masculine thing of, so this isn't just about even the female, it's about everything. I think it's just a case of have a good heart, be kind, go vegan, and vote 1HAP.
Done. Brilliant. Okay, we'll move on from that. Otherwise I'll end up on a big rant. So I wanted to ask you if your background in research and education has been useful to the campaign. And I think we've sort of touched on that.
We have. So my background is in academia, and the research side definitely helps with the policy and all of those fact checking and all of those things. But my research itself, I'm actually really passionate about enacting change. And so in education, my research is about enacting change within the education sphere, but it's about empowering people to step up and be the best they can be. So through that, I know that you don't need research in order to understand how to be a nice person, but through my research in educational psychology, you start to understand what some of the barriers are that people put up to change. And that's been so effective in the Cube.
It's actually
an activism.
It's fascinating, isn't it? With a background like that, the way you can understand people.
That's right.
That's fascinating.
And that's really important when you're having conversations and about how to enact change. And it's one thing having a policy mindset and, this is great, but then how you communicate that with others, how you understand people who don't know what you know or think what you think. So that kind of background is actually really primed me for this space.
Because when you're communicating with someone, you're doing, I'm going to imagine that you're doing it on different levels, because you're looking at the reason why they're communicating the way they are, because you can see behind the curtain.
Oh God, is this freaking anybody out? I'm not.
But you can see behind you can see behind the curtain, because you're aware of why people are acting the way they are.
Yeah.
That's super empowering. And it's a great way to enact change in having that knowledge and working with people that way.
Otherwise, you just get cognitive dissonance. You get people pushing away because you can't handle the truth type thing, and you run them off. So it's about wow. empathy and connection.
Empathy and connection. Ali says, even referring to an animal as an it, I found that tricky to break. Yeah. But now that I have, it really stands out when I see it. Yes, that's another thing. Yeah. I'll second that. Mike says, if anybody has a doubt about having a lack of energy on a plant-based diet, just listen to Leah. I love it. Mike, you got some of the best comments tonight. It's fantastic. You get a free half of the pie. We're going to send it to you, but I have to eat it first. Okay, so I think we've discussed where activism fits in with what you do. We've discussed that really well, and have we really sort of covered all why should activists support the AJP? Or
I think the thing to understand is that, especially we've been talking about outreach a lot, and we've been talking about Animal Justice Party being grassroots. We're everywhere. We're at markets, we're at marches, we're at rallies, we're putting on rallies, we're collaborating, we're bringing together other animal rights organisations and collaborating, and there's this groundswell that we're part of, that all activists are part of. And so if anything like this resonates and you want more opportunities to talk to people, if you volunteer at markets with us, you just get to outreach all day about a vegan world, and to connect with people. So you've got the skills in the activist space, and this is another platform that can actually, we need, so I think the main thing to understand is that we need legislation that stops animal exploitation across the board.
Yes, yeah.
And we need to be active in that space for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's the core thing that the AJP wants to be able to work on. It's to be able to do that, isn't it?
Yes. We will not get a vegan world without new legislation. Yeah. Because industries are too powerful. They're too clever at exploiting others, which is disgusting, but it's true. Yeah. And so they'll just find new ways to do it.
As I tend to say sometimes, ethics disappear when money becomes God, basically. So, and that's what happens with industries, you know. Danny says, such a shame there are not more people in government like you, Leah. What a wonderful country Australia could be. Thank you for what you do. Wow. There's going to be a lot of people voting for you. I can see that. Rico says, it's wonderful to see more confident females dedicating themselves to improve the life of all creatures in our environment. You're doing awesome work, Leah, together with the great team from the Animal Justice Party. Well done, AJP. And Sonia says, I do not find that startling. I became aware of compassion very early on. I was 6 years of age when I looked into animals' eyes. Excuse me, no other child in my class noticed the sadness I noticed. I didn't understand how they couldn't see it. A lot of us have had similar experiences to that.
And we still have those experiences.
Even at a young age, we can think back and go, wow, that was, really how come the other kids didn't notice it sort of thing.
And on that note, speaking as someone who volunteers at Farm Animal Rescue, and there's plenty of other sanctuaries around as well, taking others, this is another form of activism, taking non-vegans to connect with farm animals who have been rescued from industry and hear their stories. Anything that connects to others is really powerful.
Here, definitely, when I went to Farm Animal Rescue and heard the rescue stories of the animals, even as a long-term vegan myself, that was very powerful to me. Very touching. It was really was. I was so impressed with their dedication in saving the animals. So I want to find out what your experiences have been like as a candidate so far.
Yeah, really, well, fabulous is the first word. This is why I have so much energy, just because it's been such a good experience.
To use your term, it's been empowering.
Empowering, that's right. And I have to say, so my social media page has been live for just over 2 months, and same with, I know Karamay as a state candidate previously has, been familiar with that, so this was new for Belinda and I. But I've already had so many messages from people saying how inspiring it is. And it's really humbling, because knowing that hopefully that inspiration then leads to action or sharing, even just talking to other people it's really nice to know that this is a platform that is making a difference.
Yes, yeah, and just seeing how from the messages tonight, I can see that sort of support.
Yeah, the message
if
just
that translates through to action, where and actually that leads me on to the next question. If that translates through to how can people who aren't in the Animal Justice Party now, how can they get involved?
Good question. Every way. So I think somewhere, if somebody online has the link handy to the membership page, that would be really good. So you can become a member of the Animal Justice Party. That allows you to attend our meetings. You can volunteer, be as active or inactive as you like and as you're able, and what plays to your strengths. But also, I know that there may be people listening or watching this afterwards who aren't necessarily in Queensland. And across the states, there's going to be a call for candidates for the next election. So please do follow your state AJP Facebook page, because announcements will be put up on there.
Okay.
And so, yes, there will be definitely a call out for more candidates. Become a member, be involved. Even just liking our pages makes a massive difference to our reach, which is really important.
Okay, yeah.
And also voting. Like, we need volunteers, right? Come closer to the election, all hands on deck. We're all volunteers. We need people with their how to vote cards, outreach, speaking. So as much or as little as anybody can do, that would be extremely helpful.
Fantastic.
Very, very helpful. We can't do what we do without the support from others.
Yeah.
So
and it's also it's very important to have the good membership base as well, isn't it? So,
yes, 100%.
So being members.
Party,
So yeah, get involved. It's very economical to be a member.
Yes, that's right.
And so if somebody can put the let me see if the link's up there. There we go.
Yes, I like Lyndon's comment.
Lyndon's put it there. Thank you, Lyndon. So I think. There was a couple of, looking at the time there, we're going to start winding up soon, yes. I was going to, that one there? Yeah, what about that one there? Can't even read my writing. I was going to ask you about I'm not going to forget it. The meat virtual livestock campaign.
Yes.
So you want to go there?
So this really...
Because I don't know much about this one.
This is important, like just quickly. So we're talking about the importance of education.
Yeah.
Industries are not silly. They know the importance of education and starting young. And one thing that really upset me, it's really affected me, because it's manipulation and it's control and it's preying on the vulnerable. So I find this really, really awful. But
unacceptable.
The Meat and Livestock Association have released a virtual education experience for schools, where virtually within the classroom, kids can get the farm experience. They can meet farm animals, they get to pretend they're milking cows. They basically get indoctrinated into the animal exploitation system.
Do they take them through the abattoir?
Exactly. And do they show all of those other things that we know that go on?
Yeah.
So this is just to show why we need new laws, because as much as we can outreach to those who stop at the cube as adults, they're ahead of the game in the next generations. They're already trying to cold in their heart before they get a chance to make those connections for themselves. Yeah. And I just think it's really sickening. I'm really passionately against this.
Yeah, same.
Same.
It's actually, it's taking animal exploitation and then it's turning it into child exploitation in a way.
Right.
Because it's just
so
brainwashing. And in fact, if I want to go back to say 1970s in primary school, we had the milk. I don't know if they still do it at school, but they have the free milk for in the primary school, and that was like indoctrinating the kids into drinking the milk really young, sort of thing. So never occurred to me at the time, but looking back, I was like,
they know the tactics that work.
So we'll get to this in a sec. Sonia says, I advocate for animal rights changes. I have found the most powerful time to make these changes during government changes. Excellent. Christine says, becoming a member of the AJP has been one of the best things I've ever done, besides becoming vegan.
100%.
And Ali says, this has been a wonderful episode. Shame it's not 2 hours. That's another great compliment. Fantastic. So I believe that you have recently renounced your British citizenship.
Yes. So I don't know if people hear an accent in me. Sometimes my vowels come out still as very British.
I don't know.
No?
I don't pick up on it.
So I came to Australia when I was 10, And I became an Australian citizen in 2009 when I went back to England and realised I was a foreigner. And I did not resonate as a British citizen, like nothing against the country, it just didn't feel like home, and the culture was not my culture. And so I came back and became an Australian citizen. Now, there's no reason not to renounce. You can have a dual citizenship and live very happily and have all the travel benefits, right?
That's true, yes.
Obviously, stepping into a federal role here as a Senate candidate, there is the need to renounce your citizenship. And so it was something that I took seriously. I spoke to my parents and my family about it just to say, I feel so strongly about this cause that I'm willing to do this and make sure that was okay with them. And I'm very happy to say that I got the letter last week to say I am no longer British, which means I follow all the rules and there will be no AJP scandal around citizenship. Not by me.
I was going to let the other political parties have those problems.
That's right. And when I did say that, I did think, oh no, is it an issue for people that I'm not Australian born? But all I got from people was the love, and it shows how committed I am. This is not about me. This is about what can I do and what do I need to do in order to be able to do the best I can.
That is fantastic.
So I've been very happy with all the love and support.
As Lyndon says, dedicated. And Ali says 100%.
And I'm really excited because it means I get to share this amazing journey and do everything we can to advocate for the animals.
I tell you what, the AJP is in very good hands with people like you aboard. I mean, I'm just so super impressed. So really, really impressed with your dedication and your empowerment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Was there anything that we haven't covered that before we wind up? I see there. Was there any announcements or anything you wanted to make?
Vote, please vote. No, take it seriously because your vote is a form of activism. Your vote is sending a clear message that you care about the animals and the environment, and that is an election, that is a game changer for you. That is so, so important. I can't say that enough. People think, oh, what's the point of voting nowadays? It's just the major parties swinging back and forth. They pay attention to primary votes. They pay attention, they see who votes for us. And hopefully that then goes, oh, if we want to be popular, we better ban live export. Like it's important. It really is.
So remember that. I'm going to repeat that. Your vote is a form of activism. Remember that. That's very, 100%. Very important. Because there's many different ways that you can show the support for animal rights, and that's one of the ways you can do it.
Exactly.
So your vote counts. Sorry.
So quick announcements.
No, that's all right. Take
Watch this space, maybe not Harry's space, but AJP space.
AJP's,
we have been working on new policies that I personally have been involved in as well, and new fact sheets that will be released soon. So watch this space to see what we've been up to and how we've been using our research and our political, and everything.
This information will be coming out soon.
So coming out soon. Again, look for the call out for AJP candidates. If you think you don't know anything, you learn along the way. You really do. All you need is the heart and the veganism in your life. And the desire.
The 4 core values.
And the 4 core values. Really, it's the most empowering thing you can do. It's been amazing. Membership, get involved, that's really important. And I'm happy for people to send me a message on my page. Please like and follow our pages and connect. I'm really all about connection. It's a good thing. And finally, 21st of September on the Gold Coast, Friday at 6 p.m, we are hosting a screening of the movie Albatross. Which is about the plastic pollution.
That's actually just close here. That's going to be in Burleigh Heads at Fradgley Hall.
It is.
Yes.
And we have Scott Wallace, who is an environmental scientist speaking.
Fantastic.
And one of us candidates, or all 3 of us candidates, who knows, come along and find out, will be there as well. So it's really important.
That will be a good one for Harry to be at too, I think.
We will be doing screenings in Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast soon as well. So if you're not from the Gold Coast, but you're in those areas, there's more coming, so just watch this space and just look out for us. We're going to be, now that you've seen this, you will notice us more and more. We're going to have a strong presence. And we're taking this so seriously.
Be hard for you to not have a strong presence.
Thank you.
It's been absolutely fantastic
to
have your strong presence on the show.
I have something for me. Your own AJP keep cup.
That is wonderful. Look at this. I love it. That is great. This is a happy Harry. doing that.
There you go.
That is excellent. I just want to, before we wind up tonight, let's just let's see what I want to mention. If anyone that missed the beginning of the show and saw what got delivered here, I'm going to do another shout out to these guys. This is amazing. This is called VFC, Vegan Fried Chicken. Check that out. That is from Seth's Vegan Pies. Check it out. Actually, it's the little logo's on there. So if you don't know who they are, look up Seth's Vegan, or I'll put a link to it. I've been eating their pies as well, but their food is amazing. So let's just see what's happening next week. So I'm back next Tuesday with episode 19 with talking about food. This is Andrew from Scindian Foods, and Scindian Foods is a fully vegan company. They do a lot of the sausages. They actually support a lot of activism events. They do burgers and sausages and stuff like that, and they're based in Sydney, but Andrew, the Queensland representative, will be on the show next Tuesday night. We'll be finding out all about them. Thank you everyone that has tuned in tonight. It has been a fantastic episode. We really appreciated your input. Thank you very much. Until next time, remember to live vegan and save lives, and thank you for joining us tonight again, Leah.
Thank you very much.
Have a great time, guys. Good night.